Hello, everybody. Welcome to this Groundhog Day, February 2nd edition. I think I've watched that movie twice in the last few weeks, kind of setting the tone here. Of course, it's 5:24 a.m. Monday, so we have not, I don't know whether the groundhog's going to see his shadow or not. We'll find out here in a little bit. Got a great short recorded. By the way, I really like these shows. By the way, these recorded Mondays edition shows. I get amped up over the weekend over certain topics and whatnot. And this day, particularly, I woke up at like 3:10 a.m. thinking about a few of the topics I want to talk about this morning on the program. So, anyways, the Raiders, folks. This is one of my favorite stories of the weekend. This has not come in. This is not air quote official according to Adam Schefter, ESPN, but the Raiders look to have hired or in the process of hiring Seattle Seahawks offensive coordinator. Obviously they're going to be playing in the Super Bowl this weekend. Clint Kubiak. Okay, let me get my notes here. The Raiders. Clint Kubiak had an impressive offense with Sam Darnold in Seattle this season. I looked this up earlier, and I thought, man, I didn't realize this, but they were third in points, 8 in total yards. And listen, this is considered a defensive team. So they really are probably the best team in the NFL. Third in points, 8th in total yards. Last year, this is Clint Kubiak's resume. Last year, before Derek Carr's injury, 2 40-point games. This was back when he was the offensive coordinator for New Orleans last year. They were setting the league on fire. Rashid Shaheed, the traded wide receiver they got from New Orleans, he had some success there with Kubiak and his offense in New Orleans last year. For you fantasy players, you remember that. But the 38-year-old is the son. He is the son, yes, folks, of some of you older fans like myself. You would know Gary Kubiak, who won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, that running game, that offense back in 2015 with the Denver Broncos, and also going back even farther, he was the offensive coordinator for Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan's dad, for the John Elway, Terrell Davis, 2,000-yard rushing seasons there with the Denver Broncos with that zone block and running scheme. So this is his son. He is looking to be not official yet, but he is looking to be the Raiders head coach there, folks. So I'll be honest with you. I don't think I'm being hyperbolic. I don't think I'm over exaggerating this, but this is the most faith I've had in the Raiders pairing this guy with a talent, a likely talent, with the number one pick, Fernando Mendoza, putting him at quarterback there, paired with guys like probably the best tight end in football, Brock Bowers. I don't think that's a far stretch. And Ashton Jeanty there, the second-year running back, had some good and bad games. I've seen a lot more good than bad of Ashton Jeanty, the former first-round pick from last year. You pair them, plus they're second only to Tennessee. I think they got over $90 million in cap space here. But this is the most faith I've had in them, and as far as their future is concerned, since the Rich Gannon early 2000 days. Probably the best amount of prospects and just an overall glimmer of hope, if you want to say, an overall glimmer of hope that Mark Davis has had since his dad, since he took over for his dad, Al Davis, since his dad passed away. So the Raiders, interesting. I know it's a tough division. I get it, but things change quickly with injuries and salary cap issues. This is going to be an interesting hire. They're a very good storyline to follow in the offseason throughout the draft, throughout training camp. They should do a hard knocks in Vegas. That would be interesting. Plus, you got to throw in the fact that Fernando Mendoza, he's not shy about his faith. I love that about this young man. He's going into Sin City in Vegas. That is a great comment. That is a great storyline to play on if you are the hard knocks people, per se. But there's a few of them that could do it here in Tennessee with Cam Ward and Robert Saleh and Brian Duvall. Those are big personalities, too. That would be an interesting hard knocks. But, yeah, Raiders, hard knocks, Vegas, that would be cool. HBO, NFL, if you are listening. Also, another Sean McVay assistant gets a job. Man, these guys are getting jobs like nobody's business. Sean McVay is almost like the Nick Saban of NFL as far as bringing in former head coaches. I noticed that he also hired back Raheem Morris to be his defensive coordinator. To be his defensive. He ended up going to the 49ers. Excuse me. Yeah, these guys are all in the same circle, Sean McVay and Cal Shanahan. But anyways, disregard that comment. So Sean McVay continues to get assistants, head coaching jobs for his offensive coordinator from 23 to 25, Mike LaFleur, not Matt LaFleur. That's his brother, younger brother, Matt LaFleur is the coach of the Green Bay Packers. Mike LaFleur, the younger brother there of Matt, has got the Arizona Cardinal job. Obviously, it was the last head coaching job to get fulfilled. Owner Mike Bidwell of the Arizona Cardinals, known for his temperamental and difficult to work with persona, finally got his coach here for at least 2 to 3 years. Anyways, that's what I put in my notes here. Now, I will mind you that the Rams, #1 points team scored in the league, #1 in yards accumulated in the league with Stafford in that group here. So you got the offensive coordinator on the best, on the absolute best offense in the NFL. Okay, so now, mind you, I said Mike Bidwell, the difficult owner, has got his coach for 2 to 3 years because they've also got Kyler Murray. What are they going to do with Kyler Murray? Are they going to keep him for another year or so? Are they going to have to dig into that cap situation and bite the bullet? Teams have bit the bullet on cap situations. Look at Russell. I talked about this with Denver. Look at Russell Wilson. Massive dead cap hit last year and the year before. And guess what? They made the playoffs both years, almost got into the Super Bowl this past year there with Sean Payton. So my guess is they'll probably run it back this year, but it's not a lock. It's not a lock. It's an interesting storyline to follow going into the off season, but again, this is another Sean McVay assistant here. Just a list of some of the guys who have coached under McVay, a part of his coaching tree. You've got Matt LaFleur, obviously with Green Bay. Zach Taylor, love him or hate him. I wasn't a big fan of him. He's like a quarterback coach, but he did get to the Super Bowl with Joe Burrow. Whether it was mostly Joe Burrow or not, he did get to the Super Bowl. Now, of course, you had Brandon Staley that went on to coach for the Chargers. He was a disaster. But you've also got Kevin O'Connell with Minnesota. Great scheme guy. He's from the coaching tree. I mentioned Raheem Morris, who went to Atlanta and now is with the 49ers to take over their defense. Liam Cohen. Yeah, Liam Cohen was from the Sean McVay coaching tree as well. He's now the head coach. Looks to be a hit there with Jacksonville. And, of course, now Mike LaFleur, brother and little brother. So 40-year-olds, DraftKings put this out here on their Facebook site. At just 40 years old and 9 seasons The Rams head coach Sean McVay has 7 head coaches hired from his staff. That is very Bill Parcells like. Now, these guys hadn't won Super Bowls yet. They haven't won Super Bowls yet. But that is very, very impressive there from Coach Sean McVay. And speaking of Denver, speaking of Minnesota there, I mentioned Kevin O'Connell. And Minnesota's doing something that I said that many teams should look at too. These owners, they're billionaires. They got the money. The Vikings, Pro Football Talk here, I had this on my screenshot, are reportedly going to pay defensive coordinator Brian Flores $6 million a year. Now, he is, right now, I would regard Flores as the best defensive coordinator in football, considering what he's working with up there in Minnesota. They're not even working with mega talented players. They're working with good players now. I don't want to, these also are NFL players, but they're not big, high-name players. I would love to see him coach like a Cleveland Browns defense, for example. But that is pretty close to a head coach, and that may be more than some head coaching salary. That's a six. Yeah, you heard that right. Brian Flores is making $6 million a year as a coordinator. This is what I've talked about with the Mad New Yorker. He talked about, hey, get all these former head coaches, just pay them what they need to be. Yeah, exactly. Do you want to be a coordinator for me and be the best coordinator, regarded as best, and make the same salary? Or do you want to go to a team without a quarterback, for example? I just mentioned Mike LaFleur, who, if they keep Kyler Murray there, this guy's going to be out of a job in 3 years, and McVay will give him an assistant job, or Kyle Shanahan or somebody. He'll go back, but he'll have a big chunk of money. Or you can just stay being a coordinator, and you make practically the same amount of money. You're not making 1 versus 6. You're just making 6 versus 6 or 8 versus 6. Now, if you're a star coach, of course, like a John Harbaugh, who's making $20 million. But if I'm a billionaire owner and I want to keep the guy bad enough, I'll pay whatever it takes to keep my staff together. That's the way you probably should do it. Amy Adams Strunk, maybe you should, if an Arizona job comes open after one and done, and Mike Bidwell offers Brian DeBall $8 million, to say, hey, I'll pay you $8 million. I'll pay you $8 million in one. I'll pay you $8.5 million to stay here with Cam Ward and Robert Saleh and help us win a Super Bowl. That's food for thought. Okay? But anyways, interesting tidbit there. As the coaching cycle, and listen, folks, like I said, I'll get more into the in-depth ranking of these jobs and these particular job openings. Got them all filled before the Super Bowl starts, coming up this Sunday, which is pretty interesting. Okay, first time I think I've talked about the NBA all season here. Okay, so Draymond Green. Let me back up a little bit. Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, allows Draymond Green to make a racist comment, and that's what it is, a racist comment, and he's not fined. Adam Silver lets him make a racist comment, and he's simply not fined. Listen to this. This was Draymond Green, of course, getting another tech because they lost to Detroit. Detroit was the better team, number 1 seed in the East, Friday night. And I guess he got a technical and didn't like it. But here's Draymond Green after getting his 209th. This guy's got 209th career technical on Friday night. Listen up.
I will tell you, though, I find it very ironic that I got a technical foul for telling a Caucasian referee not to put his hand in my face. As a black man in America, don't put your hand in my face. And I said, hey, don't put your hand in my face, and I got a tech. So I thought that was the most interesting thing of the night.
Did he try to explain himself?
He said, Draymond, this is your chance to stop talking to me, bro. Don't put your hand in my face. Oh, tech. Oh, okay. So, everybody want to talk about holding a line of respect. That line need to be held both ways. So if the line won't be held both ways, then the line won't be held from my way either, because we all men.
Right.
And we all can make decisions and choices. So let that be the last time that happens.
Okay, and I don't blame him as much for that comment. Obviously, he's a bully and he's a racist, but I don't blame him as much for that as I do Adam Silver in the NBA leadership here. If he says that comment about if say Luka Doncic or whatever, being a white guy in America and a black referee, I mean, you flip the races around. And that's a fine. If that's a woman referee, and a woman referee puts her hand in my face, I say, do not put your hand. That's a fine. If that person's sexuality it claims to be gay or homosexual, whatever, that's a fine. Okay. The only people that it's open season on for insults are straight white men. Okay, that is Adam Silver. This is to you. This is not Draymond Green, just a player and about half of an idiot. This is not put. This is at the leadership of Adam Silver and the NBA. You should fine him for that. That's your job, and the players are so whatever legalities or whatever you have to do, you're supposed to fine him and discipline him for that. Okay, just like you let coaches go on here and make political rants with the NBA logo and the teams about that. By the way, I noticed that there's other media, conservative media, whatever, asking these coaches questions across the board, whether it's one side or the other. There should be a rule. You cannot talk about political outside conversations with that team logo and that NBA logo. You can do whatever you want to do in your own time. You want to go on a podcast, you want to go to an interview, but at those post-game press conferences, you cannot do that. We're not trying to alienate our fan base. Okay, Adam Silver, this is for you. You are the leadership. Fine Draymond Green. Stop letting these coaches lecture America with those logos in the background on their political issues. That's why it's hard to stomach this league, folks. The NFL's calmed down. They went through their coaching cycle. They're at the last game of the season, the Super Bowl. It gets harder and harder for me to talk about this because of the poor leadership of like a lot of what Adam Silver's done. He's embracing gambling. It's had some blowback from gambling and fantasy. Trust me, we saw that with the gambling and fantasy issues. But these type of issues, you cannot sweep under the rug. Yes, straight white men like myself who's been following the NBA since Draymond Green was a child or even before he was born. I'm 44. I think he's 35 years old. That is offensive. And that is a racist remark. You should fine him for that. You cannot just say anything about anybody, okay? That's what you need to do. It's called good leadership, okay? That's why your ratings are falling up. That people are just not watching. And I understand you got your money. The league is spread out. I like the competition. I know that what do you call it? Load management's been a bad thing. There's too many threes being taken. I get all that. I do like the fact that there's a lot of parity in the league. But you've got to address that, and you got to get out in front of it, and you make an example out of Draymond, and it'll cut that out, and then bring back your fan base. Okay, all right. As you can see, that was one of the things that got under my skin because I'm still. And people say, "Why do you still talk about it?" Because it's the NFL season's over with. I still love this game. I'm still holding out faith in the NBA that they will get it right. And I hope Adam Silver will hear this. And, eventually, folks, I'm working on some stuff behind the scenes. I'm going to get on bigger platforms here in the near future, and I'm hoping he can hear that. That is offensive. Straight white men are not punching bags, okay? That is offensive. Stop looking the other way. His coach won't do nothing. And the commissioner, I'm asking you, get with the association, get with the ownership, the Players Association, get with the ownership and do something about that. Okay, thank you. All right, back to your regular scheduled program, right? and listen, on the floor, that Knicks game on NBC last night, that was a good game. Knicks are coming off of that will be a 6-game winning streak. And if you watch that game against the Lakers last night at Madison Square Garden, the Lakers for the first half into the third quarter, midway through they look like the better team. But essentially, Knicks outshot them from 3 at the end. It was funny. They both shot 40. I had to look this up. I said, man, is this actually true here? They both shot 42 3-pointers. 42 3-pointers and on the money. And of course, the Knicks hit 18 out of 42, and of course, the Lakers hit 12 out of 42. All right, and mainly by this. What's this guy's name? Landry Shamet, and I'm sure I'm butchering his Shamet. Landry Shamet, 6 for 10 off the bench there, got hot there. This looks like they're the number 2 seed behind Detroit right now in the East. This is your shot, Knicks, to get to the NBA Finals first time. I want to say since '99, and they lost to the Spurs that year. Remember, that was a shortened. I was starting to say '94, but I caught myself. That was the OJ one, which I really hated. I thought that '94 team was good. I thought they could have beat the. I thought the Knicks could have beat that Akeem Olajuwon-led team, but they didn't. It is what it is. They went 99 and lost to Tim Duncan and that group there. And the shortened, I think it was like the lockout season or whatever. But anyways, listen, that was the first really good look I got at the Knicks this year. Ball movement under Mike Brown, so much better. The passing, the tempo. I like what I saw from there. Wish the defense could match it. Defense not quite a Tom Thibodeau type of defense. That's about what I figured it would happen there on with this team. That being said, I know a lot of it is, I like Karl Anthony Towns, but, Towns is just, he's not going to consistently play defense possession. You can just point out where it's just the effort is just not there with Towns on the defensive side of the ball. And if there's any way you can find a way to get Giannis in there, and I don't know how they would do it, because I know that the Warriors are also trying. I saw a trade proposal where the Warriors are also trying to get Giannis there from Milwaukee. We'll see how that plays out. But the Knicks, I would really try, because we got the trade deadline coming up here in a few weeks. I know we got the All-Star break coming up shortly before that, but the deadline's usually towards around the same time here, this NBA trade deadline. So I would work as hard as I can to try to get that done if I'm the Knicks, beat out that Golden State Warrior team and see what you can do to get him. Because I don't think to make the championship. They could probably make a finals run, although Detroit looks good. They're younger. I do like Brunson. I do like the point guard matchups here. That would be. Remember, it was a great matchup last year. I want to say it was a 6 or 7 gamer between the Knicks and the Pistons last year. Very hard-fought game series there. But that, and as far as the Lakers are concerned, I mean, LeBron James, he looks great in spots. I heard the reports about the defense falls off. And of course, I think J.J. Redick mentioned that a few weeks ago. When LeBron's in there and when he comes back, LeBron's the issue. I mean, thank you for your service. Thank you for what you did for us in 2020. But you definitely got to do away with LeBron and his contract there. And I'm sure they're working on that behind the scenes. This is probably his last year. He's tearing up and stuff. He teared up Friday at Cleveland. I just think the league will be better without the guy. He's spewing a lot of this political nonsense as well. The league would be better if Adam Silver were on the spine and without Steve Kerr, without Greg Popovich. Notice Doc Rivers is spewing a bunch of nonsense, but just that whole aura of politicization and the racism, the open racism of guys like Draymond Green, you get rid of that and just make it about basketball, man. The Spurs are a great story, with the Victor Wembanyama to play. I mean, they're fun to watch. OKC Thunder, they continue to hold back. Joker came back this weekend with Denver. The play on the court is really good in spots. This crisp ball movement, the skill, the overall skill, the overall pace has never been this good. Let's keep it about that, and man, make this a healthy sport here. I know it's a global sport now, but I think that what I just mentioned, that's cancer. You want to cut that cancer out of the league. You cut all that cancer out of the league. So, folks, if you like the show, share the show. I'll be back live probably Wednesday with my man Rich Ferris from the Cumulus 104.5, The Zone. We'll talk a little bit about Brian DeBall, Robert Soloff. That's a big buzz here in the Nashville area. And, of course, whatever storylines in the NFL come about. So have a good Monday. And listen, I really hope that the groundhog does not see his shadow. We'll get early spring. Folks, this has been a horrific winter. North Carolina, I read yesterday, they got like 11 inches of snow in the Charlotte area. I don't know if that's legit or not. And it's freezing cold everywhere. So have a good Monday, everybody. I'll see you back live probably Wednesday here on the Real Sports Scope.